Hi, everyone. Today we're going to look at um, how we can use some Google tools to support our work with Fit4, providing effective feedback. And we know that it's super important that students get feedback during the learning process. So the tools we're going to look at today are going to allow us as the students working on their writing assignment or their project or whatever it happens to be. The tools that we're going to look at today are going to allow us to provide that student feedback as they're going through that learning process. So the tools we're going to be looking at today are Google Classroom as our main avenue for collecting the students' work. We're also going to be using Google Sheets to be able to collect the scores of the rubrics we're going to be using so that we can do some analysis of our students as they're going through their learning process. We'll also be using a couple add-on tools called Doctopus, which will allow us to collect the students' assignments quickly and be able to interact with them in an efficient manner. And we'll also be using another add-on called Goobric, which will allow us to score the students' work using a rubric in a very quick, efficient manner, which I think you'll like. So the first step we're going to have to do is make sure that we have a rubric available to us. I'm going to be using the sample writing rubric here. It's got 3 learning targets and 4 levels here. Super important when you're making your rubric is the top cell here, A1, should always be blank. And then across your top row would be your values for your different levels. And it doesn't matter which order you put them in. It could be from high to low or low to high. And then you'll have your learning target areas or your categories down on the left-hand side. So we have our rubric. Okay. Then what we need to do is we need to create ourselves a blank spreadsheet. So we go to our Google Drive and click New. I want a new Google Sheet. And this Google Sheet's going to fill itself out when we use an add-on tool called Doctopus. But we need to create the Google form so that it's ready to go. So just waiting for this to load. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to name that rubric scores for number 3, grade 4 essay demo. Okay, you can see that over here, that's what my assignment was called, assignment number 3, grade 4 essay. So I have my blank spreadsheet ready to go there for collecting my student work. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Then what I want to do is I want to show you in Google Classroom. Currently my screen's split up into 3 sections here. The far left here is the teacher account. So this is your view. Then I have 2 student accounts here. The orange one here is my test student 1, and the red one here is test student 2. And I've already gone through and created an assignment. Let me hit edit here for a second. So I named it number 3. I normally number the assignments. That helps organize your Google Drive as you're creating lots of different assignments throughout the year. It allows you to quickly find those assignments sequentially. And then in this section is where you would normally put your instructions. I kept mine short and sweet. Please write an essay. You can add the due date and all that stuff. I went through and I also attached that sample writing rubric so that all my students can view it. They can't go in and edit it, but they can view it. So they know what the expectations are as they're going through the work. And again, they would have much better directions if this was a real assignment. Okay, so that was all set up. And I've already assigned that. And I have 2 students here that have already started working on that. So I have student 1 here. So I open student one's work here and I expand this out for a second. You'll see that student one here has written their essay, and I've already gone through previously and gone through and given it a rubric rating. So you're going to see here what it's going to look like at the end. So you can see that that rubric was scored here. So, but you can also, in this view, is you can go ahead and use the regular Google tools here, separate from Goobric and Doctopus, and just make your comments like, hey, that was a great intro, and leave your students some feedback along the way, separate from the rubric. Okay, so I close that down. So both students have their work. So now let's show you how Goobric works. So first thing we have to do is we have to use the add-on called Doctopus, and if you haven't already, you're going to need to install Doctopus as an add-on within Google Sheets. So you would go to Get Add-ons, let this populate. You can do a search here. Usually it'll be one of the first ones anyhow. This manage would actually be a plus sign, you can see there, and you would add that. Okay, and then go through the install. But since I already have it, I'm going to go ahead and launch it. I'll give this a second. Okay, so once this is launched, here I'll expand this out for you. You're going to select your mode, and what we're going to do, because we're using Google Classroom, we're going to ingest a Google Classroom assignment. So I'm going to select that. Then I'm going to select the class, and I have just this one class called Rubric class. That was just for this demo purposes. And then here I have two assignments I'm going to use the grade for. Essay assignment. And it says that nobody's turned it in, but that's okay. What we're doing is students are working on their stuff, and we want to give them feedback as they're going through the learning process. So I'm going to go ahead and click Ingest Assignment. And what is going to happen here is it's going to start populating this spreadsheet. And it actually did here. So here we got a tab here at the bottom. And now here's my two students, test student 1, test student 2. And you can see I now have direct links to their assignments there. And if I were to click on that link, it'll open up the assignment. I can view that assignment. I can go ahead and make any comments. The comments that I just made on that previous screen will be there. Actually, I made that comment, I believe, as the student. I think the student actually said that that was a great intro. And what I could do is I could highlight that same section, and or actually I could just reply to the student, and I agree. And reply back to the student, hey, I agree. But that's not really the great part here. Let's show you how we can use the rubric. So first thing we're going to do is attach what's called a Goobric. So we're going to attach Goobric. So it's going to show you your recent ones, but let's say it wasn't your recent one. You would click on My Drive. You would select the spreadsheet from your drive that has your rubric. So here's my sample writing rubric. I select that. I have some options here. I can make the rubric available to the viewable to the students. I'll do that. Allow self or peer assessment. Have not been able to get that feature working. I have a call in with them. Hopefully they'll get back with me. And then send an email notification to students. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the rubric. And what you're going to notice here is my spreadsheet's going to change a little bit. There you go. And when it did, it was it inserted a couple columns here. And so now I've got a Goobric link here. And so these links now will take me directly to a script that will allow me to score the student's work with the rubric that I had selected. So you can see here's my 3 different learning targets: narrative focus, organizational, and elaboration of evidence. My students' work is right below. Any comments that were made, you can still see on there. In addition, you can see what the previous rubric scores were, if there were any. So maybe for narrative focus, it was a 3. Click on organization. So under organization, maybe organization's a 2, and elaboration of evidence, maybe that's a 3. We can leave the student some comments like great job. And then over here, we can email scores to the student, and then we can also advance on submission. So that means when I hit advance here, this is automatically going to switch from student 1 to student 2. So I'm going to go ahead and click advance. And what you'll see here is now I'm on student 2. This is student 2's essay. Okay. Student 2, I was also using earlier. So here you've got student 2's already got a couple of rubrics down there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and rate them. Maybe got a 4 on that, and got a 1 on that, and a 2 on this. And you can even leave voice notes here if you'd like. You can record some voice message as well, if that's something you're interested in. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. Okay. So now I've scored both students. Okay. So if I come over here and I'm student number 1, and again, I have not turned in anything yet. I'm just going to reopen my assignment here. I'm going to see what my teacher has said, and my work is going to open up. Give it a second. So, well, it looks like my teacher agreed that I had a great intro. I was giving myself a pat on the back there. Apparently, my teacher has agreed. Now, this was the rubric score that was done earlier in the day. And here's the one that I just gave the student. So here's their most recent work. And you can even see the comment I made on the bottom where I told the student that they did a great job. So the student gets immediate feedback attached right onto their document during the learning process. And the teacher doesn't have to open up one at a time, keep going back into Google Classroom and then finding the assignment, clicking it, opening it. All of that is done right within this nice interface here where I can just keep advancing back and forth between the different students in different fashions. I can do the drop-down menu. I can do previous and next. I can just hit submit. It'll automatically go to the next one. Great way of being able to efficiently go through the assignments, give the students some feedback. And it works not only in Google Docs, it works in Google Sheet. Well, it would work in for Google Sheets. Most of you probably will not be using that, but it also works in Google Slides as well. So hopefully you find this useful. And as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email or snag me in the hallway, and I'd be happy to meet with you and spend some more time going over it with you. All right, thanks.